foreign minister approval and adhere to monthly purchase quotas. Phones are sealed during visits and shopping must be done in person. So it's quite an exclusive club if you want to join it, if you want to be part of that vision, enjoying your beverage and what have you. The initiative was introduced to regulate alcohol access for diplomats and reduce the black market trade while maintaining restrictions for the general population. Now, brothers and sisters, you might ask yourself, oh, why? If Saudi Arabia is a Muslim country, why do they allow the consumption of alcohol? Why would they even sell alcohol? Well, brothers and sisters, if you look at all of the Muslim states, they are all abiding by the secular constitution, and that is that God, Allah, has no place of ruling in public life. Even though there are elements of the Sharia that might exist within these Muslim countries, because somebody might argue, but brother, they apply Sharia. They chop the hand of a thief. They do this, to do that. So surely Saudi is an Islamic state. No, it isn't, because if it was, then its entire constitution would be built upon the Sharia, not bits and bats. It's not one of those buffet style kind of systems where you can choose what you want and leave what you want. And that's the reality of the secular constitution. It allows the Muslim so-called states to implement some aspects to appease the people, some aspects of Islam, and then other elements that will suit the state as appropriate. So obviously, Saudi is trying to build its investment and tourism, and how is it going to bring that in? Of course, a lot of foreigners, a lot of Westerners will want to come into the country, but will want to pick up habits that they have in their own homes. So drinking alcohol, partying, going to clubs, having this kind of scene is important for them. And when you are in a secular society, then what we're seeing is we're seeing a modern model of what is a compromise between Islam and modernism. So we can have some of the rules of Islam, but also we are going to be in touch with the modern world. So we're going to have some foreign allowances, i.e. alcohol, i.e. concerts, i.e. maybe big sporting events here where we attract a lot of the international kind of world, and we need to have an international scene there. And how do we do that? We've got to allow alcohol to come in there. We've got to bring in some of the big international pop stars and popular culture celebrities to allow such an atmosphere to be created. And this is the agenda of a state. It wants to build its economy, not build it upon Islam, but build it upon what benefits that society and how it reaches out to the rest of the world. No, let's not export Islam to the rest of the world. Let's export, or let's import what the Western culture is, and that is alcohol, etc., etc. Just quickly going through the article again. The initiative was introduced to regulate alcohol access for diplomats, which I think I read that part of the article there. The reforms are aligned with the Kingdom's vision of 2030 initiative, which aims to diversify the economy by boosting tourism sector. Officials have stated that the changes are designed to support events like the 2030 Riyadh World Expo and 2034 FIFA World Cup. Of course, these are upcoming events that will be taking place in Saudi Arabia, where many international visitors are expected. So we must also consider our international visitors, and we need to accommodate them. So accommodating them means what? It means, allowing them to have their spaces where they can do what they want. But why not allow our tourists to come in and to live our culture, to live Islam, to see Islam, to be able to immerse themselves within our culture without bringing their culture into our societies? What is wrong with that? However, Saudi authorities have confirmed that alcohol will not be permitted in stadiums or fan zones during the World Cup. Religious cities such as Mecca and Medina will continue to prohibit alcohol entirely. The general ban will also remain in place for Saudi citizens and Muslim residents. Outside of the licensed tourist zones, Saudi Arabia maintains strict penalties for alcohol-related offences. So if you are, seen consuming alcohol outside of those non-stated kind of environments where it's been allowed, then you will be penalised for drinking alcohol. But if you're within those vicinities, then you can drink. So that makes it okay. Recent years have seen a number of social reforms under Vision 2030, including the introduction of cinemas, concerts, and more relaxed social norms. So, brothers and sisters, really, if you think about this, when we detach ourselves from political Islam, then what do we have? We have a political system that is open for interpretation. And what will happen is each time a new ruler comes in or somebody new comes in, they will have influences from Western states and they will have relationships with Western states. And their strategic kind of outlook for their development of their nation would be in line with some of these Western foreign states because they want to ally themselves with these. So what will they do? They will have conferences, they will have events, they will have meetings, they'll have discussions, and people will propose ideas and say, look, if you want to really align yourself with the rest of the world, then you as a nation need to do X, Y, and Z. That's how you will be seen and recognized as a developed modern state and not be deemed kind of like, a terrorist state or a backward state or what have you. So if you do not practice Islam holistically, then you can ally with us. If you're flexible and you can compromise and you're willing to sort of like, remove some of the strict laws that you have within your Sharia, then we are willing to sit down with you. This is a big issue, brothers and sisters, because when we start to compromise Islam, then where do we stop? At what point do we stop? And what of Allah's rules and laws will you change? Because who am I to remove a law of Allah when Allah has said that this is the punishment, this is the hudud, this is the system, this is the way these crimes or these issues are addressed. And you can't have that in a secular state, because a secular state will allow you to practice your spiritual practices. It won't stop you from praying, it won't stop you from growing a beard, it won't stop you from giving charity, from fasting. But what it will control is the way the state operates on a political level. That is when our neighbors in Palestine are being, a genocide being committed against them. We can't engage with war. We can't do anything because politically we are a state independent and we have our own concerns, and these are our borders, and they're our priorities. We don't get involved in any international affairs because that doesn't concern us. Yes, we are Muslims, we are spiritually linked with those brothers and sisters in Palestine, but politically we are divided. And that is our weakness, brothers and sisters. It is a political disunity that is destroying this ummah. And only until we establish a khilafah system will the Muslim world change its political objectives and political perspective of the world. It will only then enact the laws of Allah upon the earth. So it will unify Muslim lands. It will protect Muslim lands. It won't protect them now because it's not in the constitution to do so. Because the constitution says you are a nation state, these are your borders, these are your priorities, these are your subjects. And you need to stick within that agreement. And that's the problem that we have right now. If we are hoping and praying that the Muslim world might react, there's always a chance that it will react, but not in the structures that it exists. We have to change the dynamics and the landscape of the political world within the Muslim world for us to change the kind of foresight and the political actions that are being carried out by the Muslim world. So that, brothers and sisters, is my short piece on that note there. I mean, so as I was saying, brothers and sisters, until we change the political dynamics of the Muslim world, these atrocities, this illegal kind of activity of selling alcohol, having brothels, you name it, whatever accommodates the Western world will exist in the Muslim world. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist now, because surely it does, because there's no system in place to address these ills that are going on. Okay, so that is a problem in itself. Now, moving on to another story that I wanted to highlight to you this week, and I'm sure a lot of people have commented on this because it's been the talk of a lot of social media influencers, was the incident in Liverpool that took place on May the 26th. Obviously, Liverpool was celebrating the victory of the Premier League, and just for those of you listening, and please don't hate on me for for saying this, but I've always been a Liverpool fan. And don't think of me anything different now, because maybe you might not be a Liverpool supporter. I might not outwardly kind of shout about Liverpool, and I'm not one of those individuals on social media that will publicly show my support or my love or my passion for Liverpool. I know there's a lot of passionate supporters out there and a lot of passionate haters out there. So I don't like to get caught up in this, because I find it very futile, and I'm kind of beyond the stage of really being too concerned and overly wrapped up in sports to the point where I can hate somebody else or just have banter with somebody else because they support another team. And I've come across brothers even in their 50s that, you know, have such a hatred towards certain football teams that they will say nasty things and hateful things, whether they're being mean it or not, Allahu Alam. But I just find it very childish, I find it very petty, I find it very silly, and I find it very divisive. Even though somebody might say, oh, it's all in the name of fun, brother, what's the problem? Don't take things too serious. I'm not too serious, but again, I don't really kind of like find it entertaining or amusing in any way. But anyway, back to the story here. So there was an incident in Liverpool where a 53-year-old British white man, may I add, decided that he was fed up, and he took his vehicle into one of the main streets of Liverpool city centre and decided to drive through a crowd of people. And this wasn't just an average drive, brothers and sisters. He drove through people, and you can, the scenes that you see are horrific. People going on top of his car, and he's running straight over crowds of people. And according to statistics, over 72 people were run over in that incident, one incident, and even to the point where the youngest person was about 9 years old, and I've read from some reports that even a pram was knocked over by this car. So here's a man, a civilized white British guy, 53 years old, may I add, and at 53, you know, you're supposed to be winding down and being very aware of yourself, because, you know, you've passed your days of youth, youthful days where you had that zeal and passion to go out there and do crazy things. But you're a mature man, not just a mature man, but you're a family man. And you know what really kind of got me kind of agitated more than anything, and I'm sure many of you out there have picked up on this, and I've seen many comments on social media around this, that the reporting of the news, the reporting of the news was appalling, as always it is. And many of you, rightly so, highlighted the fact that had this incident been carried out by a brown person, a Muslim, then God help us, because the whole nation would have been up in arms, and we would have had, we'd have had a massive crisis on our hands. Forget Southport. It would have been, escalated to, I don't know how far it would have gone. Mosques, Muslims, homes, whatever you want to call